Good afternoon. First of all, I would like to thank my dear friend, Aden. She already told you how we met, and we kept in touch for helping organize this meeting. And I also thank Drora for participating in organizing this meeting. I'm also very proud to tell you that my own organization, the American Sephardic Federation, on whose board I sit, has co-sponsored this organization. Let me start by showing you this story from Ma'ariv. I wanted to make a copy, but it's too big. Harav Shpuya. That is my father. And what they wanted me to talk about today is about the history of my father. Everybody has been talking about something very serious, very objective. I am being asked to speak about some simple things about my own personal life. Many, many years ago, when they opened the first Yemenite Jewish Federation, the first International Congress of Yemenite Jewish Studies, which was held in Jerusalem, the Prime Minister was supposed to come. And the Yemenite leaders like Ovadia ben Shalom, Rabbi Russi and others were standing, and they said, come and stand with them. So I was standing at the door to receive the Prime Minister, and a journalist came to me, and he said, what is this? I said, well, do you want me to come naked? But in any case, I told him, this is, I actually had a better Yemenite kippah in honor of my father, who was born in Ma'abar and lived in Aden. And this is Ethiopian talit in honor of my mother. And these are American shoes in honor of the country where I live. But inside me is a human being. Actually, it appeared on the first page of Ma'ariv. I guess the reason why my dear friend Rahel, and by the way, I'm very happy also to thank others who have been very hospitable to me. The Yafet family, are they here? The Yafet family hosted me. I went to the Aden synagogue, and I came early enough to go to a Yemen synagogue, and I thank them also. They hosted me that day. So I have felt very much at home since I have come here. But in any case, telling the story of my father and my participation is very, very complicated. It's from tragedy to triumph. Let me start by showing a couple pictures of my father. That's the way he usually looked. And then there's another picture. When he made Aliyah to Israel, they said, take off your hat. Because for the picture, for the passport picture, and that's what his passport picture looked like when he made Aliyah to Israel. And then the next one is my mom, who is Ethiopian. And you can see at the age of 85, both of them look nice, don't they? I wish I looked nice like them. And then I would like also, before I proceed, to play the way my father chanted Kohelet. I have a recording of my father chanting Bereshit, Shmot, Ishayahu, Shira Shirim, Mishli, and this one is like his favorite passage in the Bible for my father is Havel, Havelim, Hakol, Havel. And that's partly reflects upon his own life. So I want him to chant, and you can see that this is Yemenite Hebrew he learned around 1890 when he was a little kid, and Can we hear it? Okay, that's his favorite question. I have the whole recording of Bereshit, Shmot, Ishayahu, Mishri. My father learned this Hebrew in Ma'aber when he was a little kid. He was born in this town, and his father had 10 children. They had heard that back in Aden, the Jews are having a better life. So from what my father told me, they walked for 10 days from Ma'aber to Aden. I don't know if it takes more days. He told me they walked on foot. It's about reasonable. So when they came there, because they were actually, as you all know, the Jews of Aden, many of them were also mixed from different places, used the Yemenite Jews as religious leaders because they knew the language, the prayers, and the accents very well. So my father very soon became a Shochet and a Mori in the Bet Knesset called Melama. It's a big Bet Knesset. Melama. Yeah. And it happened that there was a Yemenite Jewish community in a place called Dirdawa in Ethiopia. And they needed a rabbi for Yamim Norai and a Shochet. So my father was sent to Dirdawa. Now from Ma'aber he come now to live in Aden. From Aden now he comes to Ma'aber, to Dirdawa as a Shochet and Amori for Yamim Norai, because he was very, very well learned. My father, by the way, what you just heard, he chants it without looking at the book. He can read the whole Tehillim without looking at the book. People in Israel, when he came Aliyah, were truly surprised when he was given Aliyah. After 80 years, he could still read perfectly. So in any case, so he came because he was supposed to be a Mori, a Shochet. And while he was there, and by the way, in Ethiopia there were 3 prominent communities. One in Aden, Dirdawa, one in Asmara, one in Addis Ababa. And the community in Dirdawa was very strong because from Aden, from Aden, they passed the Bab el-Mandeb and come into Dirdawa. There was a train that the French had built. And there was a very prominent Jewish community in Dirdawa. You all know about Asmara, but a bigger one was even in Dirdawa. So when my father was there, as a Shochet, he came to do the Yamim Norai. He had already married, and he had a son called Saleh. And he had no intention of staying in Dirdawa. He was planning to go back. During the time when he was in Dirdawa, a cruel Jewish man, my father describes him as a short, heavy, strong man, called Menahim, later became Ibrahim, hit his wife. He was a soref, silversmith. By the way, my father too was a silversmith. You read about that because in Yemen you don't study Torah to get paid. But so he hit his wife with a hammer, and they thought she died. She went to the hospital. She gave birth to a baby, but she recovered. Now it was important for the Jewish community to have the father of the baby. So the Aden the Dawa Jewish community selected 7 strong people. By the way, my father was a very strong man. 7 strong people to pursue this Menahim. And I'll tell you why I say Ibrahim. Then when they arrived in Addis Ababa, in those days, it's around 1910, Addis Ababa was a small city with 4 gates. The north, the west, the south, and the north. They went all around the gates and checked, have you seen a Jewish man with a beard, strong, and his name is Menahim. When they came to the west gate, they said, no, we met a Muslim guy called Ibrahim. But we have not met a Jewish man, but his description of him is almost like what you say. So they decided this Ibrahim, who's running away, has changed his identity, called himself Ibrahim, not Menahim, and he said, I'm a Muslim. He had interestingly met the governor of Western Ethiopia called Oljira. Menahim too was a silversmith. He was carrying his jewelry, earrings, and all kinds of beautiful work he does. So Petrari Oljira said to come with me to my country, Western Ethiopia, where there's a lot of gold, and it's true, beautiful country, and you work with me. Of course, Menahim was so happy because he was running away. So when the 7 Jews from the Dawa didn't know what to do, they said, well, 2 people will go back to the Dawa and make a report. 2 people will stay in Addis at the Benin synagogue. There's a Benin synagogue. And 2 people, or 3 people, the strongest of the 3, will go to Western Ethiopia to hunt this guy and find him. My father and another man called Harun, and the third one, I forget his name, started going. And it takes about like 10 days to get to this place. After about a week, Harun died. And the 2 of them arrived in this little town called Nejo in Western Ethiopia. And Ibrahim saw them. They're hunting me. And Ibrahim by this time was like a king for Oljira, doing his work, and Oljira has given him a high position, and he trusted him. And so Ibrahim told, these people are seeking to capture me, take them and imprison them. So they imprisoned my father and the other person, and they would not let them go. They came to hunt Ibrahim. Unfortunately, they fell prey to this situation. Now, my father, being a very religious person, and by the way, he had brought with him some Hebrew books, and was very, very upset. So he said, I'm not allowed to commit suicide. Let God send an animal to eat me. So he went out. From what he told me, I wasn't born yet. For about a month, he slept by the riverside so that a hyena will come and eat him. He didn't know. Hyenas, when they hear the person is breathing, they don't eat you, they run away. Then my father said, Jewish religion doesn't allow me to commit suicide. But anyway, I'll drink a bottle of water, arak. And he fell asleep for 1 week. Huh?
5 minutes.
Okay. So he drank this arak and he fell asleep, but he woke up. Then Ibrahim said to Menahim, to Oljira, this man will run away unless we force him to get married. Well, my father said, I am married, I have a child, I want to go back. No way. So he became a prisoner of Oljira, and Ibrahim, they brought him a woman and said, no, I can't take him, I'm married, I don't want a woman. But now you can't go back to your country. So he said, okay, I don't want this woman. I'll find a woman whom I can educate, especially how to cook my food and how to follow my tradition. Ephraim agreed to that. In fact, I'll get him married. So my father brought this woman and taught her in fact, she's the only one who could read, by the way, in the whole village where I grew up, because my father wanted her to read the Hebrew Bible, but it's not in the Hebrew, in the Ethiopian language, and she learned how to cook. In fact, on Shabbat, she's the one who sometimes said the prayers. So my father got married, and my oldest sister was born, my brother was born. The first one was Rahel. Why Rahel? He was weeping like Rahel in a foreign country. The next one, Yosef. Why? Because like Yosef now he's become, all right? The third one, then after those two were born, the relatives in Addis Ababa were still looking for him, and Oljira and his son came to Addis, and the Yemenites had told the merchants in the area, if he comes, we give you money, tell us. So they captured him and they took him to court, and he said they died, they all died. And of course the witnesses got money and they said, but he did not die. So my father, Oljira was put in prison, his son was sent to bring my father came, then my father met his relatives. By this time he had two sons, and so the story is, you want to go back? You have a wife and a child? He said, look, this is from the God's judgment. I have two children, I love them. The country is good, it's cold. If I'm a free person, I want to go back and take care of my children. I'll give a get to my wife, I remember her name, Saada, and I give her a get, and you can take care of my son. So the relatives were very sad, of course, they agreed that this is the judgment from the Almighty, that they now cannot go back. So he went back, and then my father tells me, after he came back, for 2 years he was a slave of this king. After that he became a king. Because the government of Ethiopia made that he pay 7,000 Maria Theresa $, for the 2 years my father worked like a slave for him. Well, anyway, the story is reported very well. My father, when he made Aliyah, this is the front page of Ma'arif, called Harab al-Shuriya, and you can, if I have, but in any case, let me put it this way. I can tell you much more, of course, about my father and his knowledge of Hebrew. What's really, I still remember how on Shabbat, he reads always, the Shabbat, of course, the people in the village, by the way, did not say Saturday. They say Isaac's Sabbath. That's the name of the village. In any case, people often ask me, you came to America. You're the first Ethiopian to get a PhD at Harvard University. Where do you originate from? I became the first professor. Last year, Harvard University put out this magazine with pictures of people whom they said, Harvard graduates who made influence in the world. I have been knighted by the King of Sweden. The reason why I'm saying so is, where do I come from? How come? In all honesty, I have received several honorary degrees. I founded the African Studies, as she read, in Princeton at Harvard. I'm not an unknown person in the United States for all the contribution I have made to knowledge and study. And all of this is based on the inspiration I received from my father. I still remember how much I loved. I am writing a book about him, and eventually others have been encouraged me to. So, coming from Aden, making a contribution to, I'm also the first professor of African language at Princeton University, two of the biggest universities. Yes. So Aden for me, in fact, my father always, when you ask him, he says, where are you from? He says he's from Aden. He only tells you that he was born in Ma'abar afterwards. And by the way, I visited Yemen, went to see Ma'abar, and I saw the horses. It was really a beautiful place. Well, in any case, as I said, my father's story is a long one, my own story. You can find my story in New York Times if you want. You can, under my name. You can also find me in Wikipedia, and they will tell you. And all of this comes from the inspiration of my father, who was born in Maber and grew up in Aden. For 10 years.